Hi, I'm Kitsap County Commissioner Rob Gelder, and welcome to this episode of Commissioner's Corner. Today we're going to be learning all about the horticulture program at North Kitsap High School. Let's go inside the greenhouse and check it out. So welcome inside the greenhouse. Joining me now is Ellie Rider, who's the science teacher with North Kitsap High School. So Ellie, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Or I suppose I should call you Miss Ryder, because I think it's protocol in schools to...
I respond to pretty much anything, including hey you sometimes, so.
Well, thank you so much. Would you share with our science teachers pretty broad?
Yeah.
Share a little bit with our viewers today about what classes you teach.
All right, I teach a variety of classes. Primarily I'm endorsed in agricultural science, so anything that has to do with plant science, animal science, natural resource science. Those are my main classes that I really like to teach, but I get tossed into the other science classes. So I've taught biology. This year I've got physical science as well. So I've got that on top of animal science and introduction to agriculture.
So, but when you were going for then your teaching degree, were you specifically focusing on ag?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. And that's basically what my teaching degree is in.
Okay.
But when I first got here, they didn't actually have this program going quite yet. And so they asked me to get an additional endorsement so that way I could teach other classes for them.
Okay. So talking about this program, I mean, we're standing in a greenhouse that for the viewers may not, because we don't have temperature vision, I don't think, available on BCAT yet, or smell-o-vision, but it is warm in here.
It's very warm.
And this is, we're filming this the end of January. Happens to be a sunny day, which helps. But this, I think, if I understand correctly, was not how the greenhouses looked not too long ago. So can you tell us how long have the greenhouses been around, and they kind of went defunct, and what did it take to get them back up and running?
So the greenhouses that I have here are, I mean, they were used off and on for years. When they were first built, I couldn't tell you exactly when they were built. I know the one that's, well, Greenhouse 1, which is my biggest one, actually was built back in like the 80s, I believe. Okay. And so that one's not really functional at this point. We kind of use it as a cold storage. But I've been using these greenhouses for the past 2 years. This is the second year. The first year we focused mostly on just cleaning all of this stuff out, because all of these beds here, they actually had cardboard laid over the top of them. We had weeds that were just growing up the sides. It was incredibly overgrown and just kind of terrifying to look at. And so the first couple months that I had it and I had students, I pretty much just took my students in and said, anything that's living, get rid of it. Anything that looks like trash, throw it away. So it was a lot of just kind of cleaning up the space and making it look nicer. And then towards the end of it, we actually got to start growing some starts for Olmsted Nursery here in Paulsbo. And we've been growing vegetables and produce for Odin Inn, which is our culinary arts program. So kind of doing a food to table or farm to table pathway. So
how did that partnership with Olmsted Nursery come about?
So my career and technical education director, he had this previous relationship with Sean Olmsted. And he introduced us, and Sean pretty much just said, if you need anything, let me know. And, a little while later, I was like, well, what can I sell you? And he actually was the one that kind of opened that door, I think as a joke at first, and then I just kind of ran with it, and he was more than happy to support me in that way.
So then you do. He purchases the starts, and that helps create revenues for the program. Are there other partnerships? I know that the North Kitsap Schools Foundation was involved in some of the renovations.
Yeah, so last year I applied for a grant through the North Kitsap School Foundation, and I received a $3,000 grant from them. And that allowed me to purchase seeds. It got us to purchase some equipment and materials that we needed to actually get the greenhouses up and running again, and actually starting to grow those starts that we needed for Olmsted Nurseries.
So in terms of, you got some funding to help with the rehab, but did you end up having to purchase services to do the rehab, or was it really you and the students?
It was just me and the students.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I have maintenance come in and do some of the light work, or check the heaters if I need to, but for the most part, it's my students. Anything that has to happen, I tell my students, look, this needs to happen. Who wants to volunteer for this job? And so I've had students that have been outside cleaning up the outdoor space. I've had students in here weeding. I've had them planting. Pretty much whatever I see that needs to be done, I bring it to their attention and I say, go for it.
So how do you design a curriculum then? I'm not having, was your focus, but so are there tricks? I mean, are there's sort of, protocols or sort of standards that you need to achieve in designing how you're going to incorporate all of this into a lesson plan?
Yeah, so there are standards. I follow a lot of the next generation science standards just because this is counted for a biology credit, and so I need to make sure that I'm hitting certain standards there. But I also understand plants and animals and just basically tying biology into a real world application and making it just more alive and more real for students. And so that's why we come out here. I teach them things in the classroom, we come out, we apply it, they get to see their handiwork, they get to see how the science that they've learned is applied, and it just kind of brings everything to life for them.
Well, great. I know we'll have a chance to talk to a few students in a little while, so maybe we'll hear their side of that story. But for you, what is the most rewarding part of sharing your love and passion for growing things and biology?
Just seeing the students make those connections. When I was actually in high school, I raised lambs for the fair. I was part of the FFA, and I remember specifically having a mom and her child come up to my lamb in his pen, and she goes, "Look, honey, cotton." And I was just like, "Oh no, that's not cotton." And like as a 14-year-old girl, you had to address that. And so just understanding that disconnect that we have from agriculture and from basically our roots was just kind of what made me want to go into it, to educate our public, to educate our students on where their food comes from, some of the policies and procedures that are in place that they're going to be in charge of making eventually when they become like citizens of our country.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. So going back to the production of some of these food items for, say, the Odin Inn, how do you know how much to plant and what Odin Inn can use and sort of the timeline for its growth and maturity of the vegetables so that it gets to them when they need it?
A lot of guessing. I actually have a background in animal science, so learning the greenhouses and learning plant science has been a just huge experience for me just because it's not normal for me. And I mean, going back to Sean has been awesome in telling me, like, this is how long this takes to grow. This is when you should start planting. And last year was kind of a lot of guesswork and figuring out, okay, I planted this then, now a month later I've got the product. And it's really just been a lot of guess and check.
So how many years have you been doing this?
I've been teaching for 3 years, but this is my second year out here.
Okay. So successful year last year. We're sort of in the beginning of the growing season here. So great. Are there any other needs that you have in terms of the rehabilitation of the greenhouses that our viewers might need to know about?
Yes. I mean, there's always things that can be replaced. Especially like my first greenhouse, my biggest one, that's the one that's the most heartbreaking to me right now because we used to have a pad and fan cooling system. It's no longer functional. We used to have a heater. It's been shut off because it's been broken. We have tables that haven't been cleaned or taken care of in 8-9 years. And so we just have a lot of stuff that we're needing to replace and fix. I've been working with the Kitsap County Agricultural Alliance here in Paulsbo, and they're looking to potentially give us a grant to kind of help fund some of that. But it takes quite a bit of money to be able to get this back up and running the way that it used to be.
Sure. So if someone wanted to support their program, is the easiest way for them, can they volunteer? So you actually accept volunteers that aren't students into the program?
Yeah, I accept volunteers. I mean, if they want to offer knowledge or anything like that, that would be great. If they just have a heart to help and they don't even know what they would need to do, if they just wanted to contact me and say, hey, I saw this, I want to help, what can I do? I'm happy to point them in the right direction.
Well, great. And if someone wanted, they didn't have time necessarily, but they had some resources, like a financial donation, would they do that through the Schools Foundation?
They could do it through the Schools Foundation, or if they wanted to donate directly to the program, they should probably contact me or contact the main office, and the main office would help them.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that we have Ms. Ryder's contact information at the end of the program for anyone that might be interested. So. What have I not asked about that you want to make sure that our viewers know?
I mean, out here, it's really cool just because we have this space that we can grow plants for Olmsted nurseries. We can grow produce for Odin Inn. We're starting an aquaculture system, so I have a giant fish tank that has like 200 goldfish in it with lettuce growing out the top of it right now.
Wow.
We're working on putting a hydroponic system in. We just have a whole lot of opportunities out here that we're trying to bring to the students, so that way they're not just thinking of agriculture as just like the farming, playing in the dirt. I'm hoping to bring more animals out here. I currently have 2 rabbits and a chinchilla that live in my classroom that we play with in animal science. So we have a lot of opportunity here. It's just getting it to that point where it's fully realized.
Well, so I'm going to pick your brain then for an opinion that basically as our communities continue to grow, become more and more dense, and not everybody who lives in an urban setting necessarily has connection or access to a garden. What do you think policymakers, say in a local community, can do to support that kind of that farm to table, that connectivity to growing things and really appreciating what it is and what it does for us?
I mean, I personally really love community gardens just because it provides that space so people can go and grow things that they would want to eat. I mean, getting agriculture into their homes in any way possible. I mean, if it's just mini tabletop germination tables or hydroponic systems or anything really, it's really cool to see. And I mean, just getting to that appreciation where you can see like, I grew this, or this is where my food came from. I know pet stores are now selling basically aquaculture systems that for like mini fish tanks. And I mean, that's pretty cool too.
Do you know of any of them, how they work?
Basically the same way my system works.
Okay.
So it's pretty much the fish lives in the bottom, plants are grown on the top, and the fish feeds the plants, and the plants feed the fish.
So you don't actually add
You don't have to.
You don't have to add additional fish food to that. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. So in other partnerships, do you have a connection to the Master Gardeners?
I haven't made any connections yet, but I'm working on it. In the next few months, we're working on doing like an agriculture day and inviting the middle school and the elementary school kids to come out here.
Okay.
And so I'm planning on contacting the Master Gardeners and seeing if they've got anything that they would be willing to share with us.
So are there similar programs that at the other age levels within the school system where students are getting connected to agricultures?
There's a small program that's starting out at Kingston Middle School. They have a greenhouse that they work on. It's only a semester long program though, and so really the only agriculture connection that they have is either what their teachers bring in to the classroom, or when they get to the high school, they take my classes.
Okay. And your classes are semester long, or they're
Year long.
Year long. Okay. So is it always a mix between the classroom and the greenhouse?
For my introduction to agriculture, my plant science it is. Environmental science will be spending more time outside at the horticulture site, so working with our pond and some of the other places here. Animal science, it's more in the classroom, but I like to bring animals into my classroom, which is why the 2 rabbits and the chinchilla live with me. And you know, if I've got the opportunity to bring goats or sheep or cows or pretty much anything, I'll find it and I'm going to do it.
Well, great. Well, I know that what's nice is that everybody learns differently, right? There are those who can look at a book and absorb it. There are others that want to touch, feel it, smell it, and they absorb it in that way. So it's great to know about a program that kind of looks at all of those different ways of learning.
And it's great too because my program's not the only one that exists. We have them down at South Kitsap, Central Kitsap. Actually, I don't know if Central Kitsap has one anymore, but I know South Kitsap does. I know Squim, Chimicum, they all have them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's great to know, and I appreciate you taking the time to be part of the program today and sharing your story. And for everyone that's watching today, make sure you do check out the contact information at the end of the program. And if you want to get involved, follow up. And stay tuned, and we'll be right back with some students. And welcome back. Joining me now is Tristan Derv, who is a student in Ms. Ryder's class. So Tristan, thanks so much for being part of the program today.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about what is it about the horticulture program that intrigued you, that made you want to sign up and become part of it?
Well, disregarding that it's a biology credit, I enjoy learning about the different plants that Mrs. Ryder teaches us, the creatures that are part of the agriculture industry, I guess you could say, the good students that are in her class that I get to interact with while we're out here in the greenhouses, taking what I can learn from her class and taking it home and planting in my own garden at home.
Well, great. So you're learning stuff in the class, take it home. What have you done at home? Anything yet?
Nothing much yet. My garden is still being, it's getting prepped and ready.
Okay.
We just took out a retaining wall over the summer, so we're still replanting. But once we get to the planting phase of planting in our garden, we plan to plant several vegetables.
So as part of your class, you learn about sort of the structure of your garden, how to have the best soil and
Yeah.
the needs and lighting and all that.
Yep, she talks a lot about the different types of soils and what plants grow in.
Okay. So what's been your favorite part of the program thus far?
I've enjoyed being in the greenhouses more than in the classroom. We do more notes in the classroom than we do planting.
So you like the
So-
hands-on type of
Yeah,
learning?
I like more of the hands-on type of learning than the writing.
Well, cool. So tell us, what do you plan to grow in your garden when you have it all set up? And is it just for you and your family, or are you going to give some away?
My parents have talked a lot about doing different types of fruit.
Mm-hmm.
We're still trying to figure out what could grow where and what might interfere with the different plants. We don't know what we're going to do with them yet besides have them ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if we're taking them anywhere, giving them to anybody. We probably might give a few to some other people that we know.
Mm-hmm. So it really depends on the success of your garden this year.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for being part of the program, for your interest in not only the biology, but how you apply it in this context, and for sharing your story with our viewers today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Joining me now is Emily Cartham. Emily, thanks so much for being part of the program today.
No problem, glad to do it.
So tell us a little bit, why did you want to be part of this program?
I really wanted to be involved with plants and nature because that was really important to me in a science class, is being more involved, and I think that going out to the greenhouses once or twice a week keeps me involved, so I really wanted to join this class.
So what is it about, we heard from Tristan that he really liked sort of the experiential learning, hands-on. Mm-hmm. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely would be a lot harder to learn about agriculture without all the planting and weeding and just everything about it. So it's a lot more easy to learn when we're doing it.
Do you have a garden at home?
We do have a garden at home, yes.
Okay, and
Yeah.
So are you going to take some of what you're learning from here and tell your family about it, provide them good instruction for how to do a better garden?
Yeah, for sure. But the main thing that I've been bringing back from here is more of the cooking aspect and going with how to create and redesign recipes, which was something I was excited about. So that's my outside of school project for this class.
So how do you approach that?
A few different ways. I'll pick something that I want to make, and then I'll make 2 different recipes out of it, and then find what I like from both of it. I had a bit of a challenging one because I tried to make vegan brownies. So that one took a lot of trial and error.
But so you're not using any of the ingredients here that are being grown in your recipes?
Not yet,
Not
but
yet.
I might try.
You might try.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite part of the program overall?
I think it's hands-on, but I'm also with my friends. So I'm learning a lot, but I'm like having a really good time learning about it. And so it doesn't feel all the time that we're just in a classroom sitting, getting lectured at. We're going out and doing it.
So what would you, if you had a friend who knew nothing about the class, but you think might be interested, what would you tell them, and why would you recommend this class to them?
I would tell them to do it because you learn a lot, and Miss Ryder's awesome, and it's just a really good way to learn more about plants and food and surroundings.
Have you had a chance to taste any of the things that you've been growing yet?
Not yet, but I'm excited. I'm definitely gonna head over to Odin when I find out we've got our fruits there.
And so what types of things are you growing in the greenhouse?
Well, today, for an example, we started planting starters. So I was planting parsley and cilantro and oregano while my friend was planting carrots and squash.
And so do you learn about kind of what those different plants need to grow? Because I would think all plants are a little different.
Yeah, sometimes the starters, well, when we make starters, we put them in either trays of 6 or 4, and some require a few more seeds in the starters, some require some less. And then sometimes we thin them after they've started a little bit. So I definitely learned more about that aspect than just going to the store and buying potted plants already.
Okay, very good. So is that because different seeds germinate with greater levels of success, or?
Yeah, I think so. And then also with how big the plants are and how much like space they need.
Is there anything that you would want to tell our viewers today that I haven't asked about, but they just absolutely need to know?
Our agriculture program is super awesome. It's just been getting started, but we're gonna expand a lot, and it's a really fun time for, I think, both the teacher and the students.
So do you have a chance to be part of this program outside of your biology class?
Yeah, I'm doing a SAE project, which is basically we pick something that we want to do, or something related to agriculture that we would like to expand on by ourselves. So some people have gardens, some people work with their pets, and I did baking, as I told you.
Okay, great. Well, awesome. Well, Emily, thank you so much for being part of the program today.
Glad to do it.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Joining us now is Lauren Musha. Lauren, thanks so much for being part of the program today.
Yeah.
So what is it about the horticulture program that intrigued you and made you want to sign up?
Well, in my 5th grade class, we had a garden outside our school, and I really wanted to continue it, and it was really exciting because I got to see plants grow and see how it worked, and it was really a really beautiful process. And I just wanted to do more hands-on, and I just wanted to see what this class kind of was about, because it was just really intriguing to my friends who did it last year, and I was like, why not try it?
So this being a biology class, do you sort of get beyond just kind of how you do it to learn more about what's happening in the soils or in the plants?
Yeah, so in the soils, we just did a whole chapter about the soil, and it was really cool how Miss Ryder doesn't like us calling it dirt, and so we have to call it soil, and we're calling about the soil. And then we also go in with the biology part where we kind of just talk about biology and how plants pollinate and everything. It's just kind of mixing it all together, and it was really fun just kind of sitting in the classroom taking notes and then coming here on Tuesdays and Thursdays and just doing it hands-on.
Oh, that's great. So do you have a garden at home?
I do not, but I would really like to start one.
Yeah, and what would you plant?
I would plant tomatoes and everything because I'm really into making food and homemade stuff. I really like spaghetti, so homemade sauce would be really amazing.
That would be yummy. So I mean, you really could take everything, the tomatoes, your basil, you could grow it all. What is your favorite part of the program, and how would you tell your friends about why they should get involved or take this class?
My favorite part of this program is actually Miss Ryder, because she makes teaching it and learning it fun, and then when we come out here, she actually makes it really fun. Everyone has a job, so you don't feel like you're left out or anything. And if my friends were asking me about this class, I'd be just join it. It's really fun, and you just get to have a really good group of people and hanging out and everything.
So do you have an opportunity not only to, because any greenhouse or any garden is a lot of work, not just the planting and the harvesting, but the maintenance of the building and that type of thing. So do you get involved in taking care of the greenhouses and that type of thing too?
I just basically focus on the plants and everything, and I clean up greenhouse 2. We have 3 greenhouses here. And this is our 3rd greenhouse that we're in.
Okay. So each greenhouse, do you plant different things in each greenhouse, or how does that work?
In greenhouse 2, it's where our plants start with seeds. Greenhouse 3, the one we're in, is actually the one that has stuff being planted and growing.
Okay. And what about greenhouse 1?
Greenhouse 1 is kind of just everything we set to the side after it grows and everything, and we take it down to our Odin here at North Kitsap, or if Odin Inn doesn't need it, we take it down to Fishline.
Okay, so that's wonderful. There's you get to learn and grow something, but then it gets to do something cool. It takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten at Odenin with the
I have
green
eaten,
vegetables?
yes, I have, and it was really good.
Yeah. And I would imagine being able to grow things and donate them to Fishline feels kind of rewarding as well.
Yeah.
So great. Well, thank you so much for being part of the program today. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Today we had the opportunity to learn all about the horticulture program at North Kitsap High School. It's so exciting to know there's programs in our community where students get to learn not only about the science of making our food grow, but also getting their hands dirty and getting into it. So thanks so much for taking the time to be watching our program today. Hopefully you learned something, and we'll see you next time.